At around 3 in the morning, there's a good chance you'll just wake up, wide awake, for no reason at all. Most people think something's wrong with them. It's actually the oldest, most human thing you can do. And tonight, you'll find out why. Tonight, when it gets dark, you'll do something almost no human before about 150 years ago could do. You'll reach out, press a switch, and the night will simply disappear. Light will fill the room, and you won't think about it for even a second. But for more than 300,000 years, your ancestors had no switch. When the sun went down, the world didn't dim. It vanished. Pitch black. You couldn't see your own hand an inch in front of your face, and that darkness didn't last an hour or two. Near the equator, it was 12 hours every night. Further north, in the depth of winter, it could stretch to 16. So here's a question almost nobody thinks to ask. What did they actually do with all that time? 12 hours every single night for thousands of generations. They weren't just lying unconscious in a cave, and the truth is far stranger than you'd guess, because one of the things they did every single night is something almost no human alive still does. We didn't evolve out of it. We switched it off. Start with the one thing that changed everything. Fire. When the sun set, the fire became the center of the entire world. And not just for warmth. That small circle of light was the only thing standing between a sleeping group and everything with teeth that hunted in the dark. Lions, hyenas, big cats, most of them hunt at night. And a human on the ground in the dark is slow, half-blind, and soft, so the fire could never be allowed to die. Letting it go out wasn't an inconvenience, it could be a death sentence because starting a new one from scratch was brutally hard and slow, which means somebody had to keep it alive. All night. Every night. People took turns feeding it, watching the dark, listening to it. A rotating night shift older than farming, older than the wheel, older than writing. And there was the cold. Night doesn't only take the light, it takes the heat. So they slept close, piled together, sharing body warmth, wrapped in hides with the fire at their backs. To be alone in the dark, away from the fire, was to be as good as dead. But once you've got a fire and a group of people sitting around it with nowhere to go and nothing to see beyond the flames, something remarkable happens. An anthropologist named Polly Wiesner spent years living with the Zhu-Huanxi people of the Kalahari, one of the last groups on Earth living close to the way our ancestors did. And she noticed something strange. She recorded what people talked about by day and what they talked about by firelight at night. And they were almost completely different. In the daytime, conversation was practical. Complaints, gossip, arguments about food, about work, about who did what to whom, ordinary stuff. But at night, around the fire, all of that fell away. More than 80% of the long nighttime conversations were stories, myths, great journeys, the dead, people who lived far away or long ago. The imagination only really came out after dark. Sit with what that means. The campfire at night is where human culture was actually built. It's where myths were born, where the ancestors were kept alive in memory, where a child first heard how the world began. Not in the harsh light of day, but in the dark with faces glowing orange, and the rest of the world completely erased. Your love of a good story told late at night, that pull you feel toward a fire. That isn't a quirk. It's hundreds of thousands of years old, and if you're enjoying crawling back into the deep past like this, take a second to subscribe. Because what your ancestors did in the middle of the night is the part that genuinely messes with people's heads. Because here's the strangest part of all. Your ancestors almost certainly did not sleep the way you do. You think of sleep as one solid block. You go down, you're out for 8 hours, you wake up. One sleep. But there's strong evidence that for most of human history, that simply isn't how it worked. A historian named Roger Ekirch spent years digging through hundreds of old diaries, letters, and court records, and he kept finding the same strange phrase again and again. First, sleep. And then later in the night, second sleep. People didn't sleep once. They slept in 2 shifts. They'd fall asleep not long after dark. Then, a few hours later, somewhere around midnight, they'd wake up. Naturally, not in a panic. And they'd stay awake in the quiet dark for an hour, maybe 2. And then they'd go back down for their second sleep until morning. And that waking hour in the middle of the night had a purpose. People used it. They'd tend the fire, talk softly to whoever lay next to them, have sex, Physicians of the era literally recommended it as the best time for it. Pray, reflect. Some just lay there, half dreaming, letting the mind drift in a way we almost never allow ourselves anymore. Now here's the part that proves this isn't just some old superstition. In the early 1990s, a scientist named Thomas Wehr ran an experiment. He took ordinary modern people and put them into 14 hours of darkness every night, the length of a long winter night, with no artificial light at all. And within a few weeks, their sleep split. On its own. They stopped sleeping in one block and slid into two, with a calm, wakeful window right in the middle. The old pattern was still in there the whole time, just waiting. We didn't lose it. We buried it under electric light. So if you've ever jolted awake at 3 in the morning, wide awake for no reason, convinced something is wrong with you, it might be the exact opposite. That might be the oldest, most human sleep there is, quietly trying to come back. And then there's the dark itself, and what filled it. We've spent so much effort erasing the night that most people alive today have genuinely never seen it. But your ancestors lived inside it, and with no streetlights, no glow on the horizon, no light pollution at all, the night sky wasn't a scattering of a few faint dots. It was thousands of stars, a bright silver river of them, the entire Milky Way arching overhead so clearly you could almost read by it. That sky was their calendar, their compass, and their television all at once. They watched it turn across the seasons. They saw the same patterns their grandparents had pointed out, and named them, and wrapped them in stories. Almost every ancient culture on Earth carved its myths into those stars. Because for people sitting in the dark every night for an entire lifetime, that sky was the single most spectacular thing in existence. The night wasn't empty. It was the fullest thing they knew. But make no mistake, the dark was also terrifying, and that fear wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. For millions of years, the things that killed us came at night. So evolution did something clever. It built the fear of the dark straight into us, on purpose. That prickle you feel walking down an unlit hallway. The childhood certainty that something is under the bed. That isn't childish, and it isn't random. It's an ancient alarm system tuned by countless generations who learned, the hard way, that the dark could kill you. The only difference is that for them, it was real. The rustle just beyond the firelight might actually be a leopard. So they stayed close, they kept the fire high, and they never ever wandered off alone into the black. So, what did ancient humans do all night? They kept a fire alive against the dark. They took turns guarding the sleeping group. They told the first stories humans ever told, and built whole worlds out of the stars. They slept, woke in the deep quiet of midnight, lived a little, and slept again. And they felt in their bones a fear of the dark that still lives in yours. And then, in the blink of an eye, barely 100 years ago, we flipped a switch and made every bit of it vanish. No fire to guard, no stars to read, no second sleep, no dark to fear. But it's all still in you. The pull you feel toward a campfire. The 3 a.m. hour you lie awake and can't explain. The small jolt of unease the moment the lights go out. Those aren't glitches. They're the night, 300,000 years of it, still switched on, somewhere deep inside, long after you reached out and turned off the light. If you want more of where we came from, the strange, ancient story still hiding inside your everyday life, subscribe and stick around. It sounds small, but a single subscribe genuinely keeps this channel alive and motivates me to keep making more of this. Sleep well. Or, twice.